From the time you first bring your child home from the hospital, rhythm is a huge part of family life. I mean, you're trying to get a rhythm for sleep, you're trying to get a rhythm for meals, you're trying to establish traditions as a family because intuitively, you know it's important. You're just trying to get everybody on a schedule and make sure that people sleep when they're supposed to sleep and eat when they're supposed to eat and do their homework as they get older when they're supposed to do their homework and take care of their responsibilities around the house and the whole deal. Rhythm is a huge part of family life. Now, something else is also very true about rhythm, and that is that rhythm silently but significantly communicates value. And what we mean by that is this, that your rhythm actually determines what matters to you as a family. That what you celebrate in your home or what you include in your rhythm in your home becomes, by default, what's important to you. Let me explain. In the family I grew up in, sports was kind of important, but not really important. I had a few health struggles as a kid. I had some asthma, so I couldn't really participate. And I think my parents tried to put me in hockey when I was about 5 years old because I'm Canadian. And I do remember very clearly lying on the ice wishing I wasn't on the ice. And that lasted about half a season and I quit. And I never really got into baseball very seriously, so sports was never really a part of my rhythm. And as a result, it never held a lot of value to me. We went to church on a regular basis, that was part of our rhythm, but sports never really held a lot of value to me. Now, fast forward a few years, raising our kids, sports was a huge part, and has been, of our child raising in our house. I mean, we seem to be driving a hockey practice, football practice, soccer practice. I mean, just about every practice you can imagine we go to. I have a son who participates in virtually every team sport imaginable, and it's become part of our family rhythm. And because it's part of our family rhythm, it has huge value. It's a huge discussion point at home. Now, that's true of sports. For your family, it might be a little bit different. Maybe you've got a daughter who rides horses or is in dance, or either art is really important, or music. Music is another big part of our family rhythm. But you see, what you're involved in often becomes the mission. So the question is, if those are the things that are impacting the daily rhythm that you have as a family, how does God impact that daily rhythm? Where's God in the midst of that rhythm? Because if God is really just something you do or someone you visit an hour a week, that's not really a significant part of a family rhythm. Is there a way, can we imagine a way together where we actually include God as part of a daily rhythm, where we imagine an everyday faith? In fact, it's important to God that He becomes part of the daily rhythm of every family. If you go back in time to the book of Deuteronomy, you can see that this was part of God's vision from the very beginning. God, talking to the whole nation of Israel, says, parents, it's so important that over the course of a normal day and the rhythm of a normal week, you remember me together as a family. And God pinpoints 4 strategic times that He says are great times to have conversations about God. He talks about morning time, bedtime, meal time, and travel time, or what we might call drive time. And in Deuteronomy chapter 6, God says at those 4 points in the day, there are very natural leverage points where you can have conversations about God, about faith, and about life. Now, think about your rhythm as a family. Morning time's a pretty special time. You're setting priorities for the day, you're getting ready. Usually there's a word of encouragement to your kids as they're getting off to school or wherever they're going for the day. Great time to have quality time together as a family. Meal times are so important. I know in our house, it's been huge. No matter where we happen to be in the course of a day, we all try really hard to get back for dinner, and most nights we have dinner together as a family. Great time to rehearse the day, to build relationships, to talk about God, to talk about life. Another key time, particularly when your kids are young, is bedtime. I mean, if you've got toddlers or kids in early elementary school, is there a more special moment of the day than when you tuck your kids to bed? Don't send them to bed, but tuck them into bed. Pray with them, encourage them. I mean, some of the best conversations we had with our kids when they were young were around bedtime. And then the 4th time, and those of you who have maybe middle schoolers or teenagers might be able to relate to this, that I think is just incredible time to spend with your kids talking about God is drive time, because there's a really cool dynamic that happens in the car that doesn't happen when you're sitting eyeball to eyeball across the table with your kids. You're not really looking at them, they're not really looking at you. And I found the older my kids got, the more freedom that gave them to talk about things that they might not be comfortable talking about when we're sitting across from the table or in the living room together or wherever we happen to be. Drive time can be incredible time to talk about things that matter most in life. So, as we explore a family rhythm, here's a challenge to wrestle with together today. How can you increase the quantity of quality time together as a family? Don't just leave it for vacations. Don't just leave it for I'm gonna work, ignore, and do it once a year or twice a year. But how can you increase the quantity of quality time you spend together as a family? Because the amount of time you spend together weaving God into the fabric of everyday life determines your family rhythm. And your rhythm, silently but significantly, communicates what you value most. As you talk about rhythm today, the more you can increase the quantity of quality time, the more opportunity you have to talk about what matters most.